It looks like we're live. Hey everyone, greetings on this beautiful, beautiful day. A little bit warm, but it's great. So today, the title, the topic, the thing that I want to cover is this thing about, asking the question, can you use video to get anything you want? Can you use video to get everything you want? Good question, right? This is a question I've been exploring for several years. It's one that I'm going deep on. And to start off today, I want to, first of all, talk about the myth of the 4-hour work week. And I want to explore this a little bit and challenge it. And then I'm actually going to talk about an experiment that I am doing, that I have been doing, that actually approaches that ideal, the 4-hour work week. Is it even possible? So here's the kinds of stories that we're told when it comes to approaching work. And the first one, the traditional one, is that we need to work hard. And in order to get anywhere, the Protestant work ethic is all about work really hard today and your reward will be later, later in heaven. And the whole, work ethic thing of do all this hard work, sacrifice, parts of your life, your family, anything else for the sake of doing this work. And your reward is going to be deferred. It's not going to happen in the moment. And by doing this hard work, you will succeed. And we all know where that goes. Like it's the 10,000 hour pathway to success. And, you can tell me if you believe it or not. If you think that that's the way to go, like 10,000 hours is it. And in order to be successful, in order to master your craft, you really do need to do that 10,000 hour thing. If that's what your camp is, that's the camp you're in, let me know. Second story is more in the direction of the 4-hour work week, which if you ever read Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, which I did right when it first came out, very, very enticing model. And it was really a book about productivity and how can we not work hard, but work smart. And this idea of working smart has been the new conventional wisdom that people are, becoming more productive, they're becoming more efficient with their time, they're focusing on the things that matter. There's the 80-20 rule, focus on the 20% of your daily tasks that do 80% of the results that you want. The things that are most beneficial to you, focus on those things and leave the rest elsewhere. So that's all very well and good, and being productive really works. But honestly, number one, do you see anyone anywhere doing anything successful and they're only spending 4 hours a week doing it? So my take on even the most productive people is that they get super productive. And even though they're getting super productive, and even though they're focusing on only the things that are important, they're still, full up to here with things to do all week long. And they're still having to sacrifice other parts of their life. They're still having to deal with okay, I'm as, narrowed down and focused as I could possibly be. And yet it's still too much. And they're still feeling overwhelmed, and they're still feeling stressed, and they're still feeling like they're on the path to burnout. And that could be you. Could be me. I've definitely been. I'm recovering, being on the path to burnout, and so I've come across recently a third way, which is referred to as working light. And my understanding of what this means, like working light, what do you mean by that? And we're not talking about just being weightless, although that would be good. You still have to deal with gravity, but working light has to do with working from a place of your motivation. And instead of being up here with your productivity mindset or being all in your muscles with your working hard mindset, that you lead from the heart and you follow the things that light you up. You make your choices about what you're going to focus on and what you're going to do on the things that light you up, and you make room in your life for those things, for the things that you value really highly, that really light you up and let you go forward in this light, beautiful way. And you may be thinking, oh my gosh, he's really gone off into dreamland. However, this is what I want to do. I want to talk about this and go a little bit deeper. And first thing I'm going to say is that this exploration, the idea of what does it mean to work light, and what are the possibilities of making that happen, and what are the examples and case studies and people who are already doing it, and what are the techniques and strategies of having a work life that is all about working light. I'm super interested in this, and I want to explore this. And in fact, this new season of the live stream show is going to be all about working light and exploring. I'm going to have guests on, and at least part of what we're going to talk about is how do you work light? How do you make your work lighten up? and in fact, how do you make your work light you up and light up all the people around you, especially the people that you're serving? What does that look like? And how can you make it happen? So today I want to bring it back to the 4-hour work week. I want to talk about and share a strategy that I've been experimenting with this past year, and to some success. And I've been sharing this with my clients, and they've been doing it to, in some cases, an even greater success. And I'll talk about some examples there as we go on. But this concept of, can you create, first of all, a highly successful enterprise, your business? Can you make it run and get on this path that you want to get on, and cut your time down to 4 hours a week? Can you do that? So I've been, in the last year, I've been taking lessons from the podcasting world. Note, new and better microphone. Lesson number 1, get a good microphone. So lesson number 2 is treat your content creation, the marketing that we're doing, all the marketing that you create, treat it like a show. All podcasters are content creators. That's the basic thing that they're doing. And as a podcast host, their mindset is all around, I have a show. I am the host of my own show. And having that mindset elevates your work to this higher degree. And you're doing a series of content creation that is all tied together in some form of narrative arc, and some form of exploration, and some form of questing, that you're entering this space of communicating with your audience and looking for something, seeking something out, finding out new stuff, and sharing that with everybody who you talk to. So the problem that I see in the podcasting world is that in order to monetize, in order to actually make money from a podcast, most podcasters are stuck in the mindset, and this is true for content creators of all kinds, whether you're an Instagrammer, or you're a YouTuber, or you're a blogger, or you're a podcaster, any of those things, if you're in all these camps, you are in this mindset of, I have to build my audience. I have to grow my audience. I have to get it to be this really sizable, significant thing. And then after that happens, then I will start being able to start earning money. Either some of the people who are watching my content will turn around and come to me and say, I'd like to work with you, because now they've gotten to know me over this period of a fairly long period of time. And or I'm doing so much content that I am now an influencer, and sponsors will come down and say, hey, we want to reach your audience and we'd like you to promote our product, and they'll give you money to do that. And this is the path that a lot of content creators turned influencers are on. And it does work. It works for a relatively small amount of the people who are creating content, reach the pinnacle of having a big enough audience to where a sponsor is willing to pay them. But there's a lot of people who are creating lots of content, and podcasters included, where number one, they don't have a very big audience, and number two, they're just not making any money from it at all. Like even if they have a sizable audience, they still haven't converted that into an income. So I have been, again, exploring how can you change this up? Like, this is what I want to share with you today. I want to share with you a method where you can turn your content into a series of content that comes out on a regular basis. And in less than 4 hours a week, you can monetize that content, even though, and this is the critical part, even though you don't already have an audience at all. In fact, in some ways, you could do this method and never worry about growing an audience of any size. So let's break that down. And before I dive in and tell you this strategy, what I'm explaining to you today is all contained. Like, if you want to learn this strategy and you want to practice it and you want to get really good at it, I have just opened the doors to my Big Reach video program, which is the program where I teach this strategy. And you can join a small group with me, and we do an 8-week mastermind together where we literally put this strategy into practice for you. And you would be off and running, and good things would happen. You too could be working light. So if you're interested in that, you can do one of two things. One is you just go to bigreachvideo.com, check out the landing page. The program starts July 8th. So I'm just opening the doors now. And the first week is the week of July 8th, right after the 4th of July weekend. So, it's coming soon. It's so exciting. The other thing you can do is you can send me a DM and say, Brad, I'm really interested in this. I want to know more. And if you want, we could get on a phone call, get on a Zoom call, and you can ask me any questions you have about it, whether it would be a good fit for you. And I promise you that if we get on a Zoom call together, that it'll be totally fun. I like talking to people on Zoom, especially after this year of being so isolated. We need more conversation. And I can see a couple of you are here today. So if you're here, say hello. Put your thoughts in the comments. So here we go. We're going to dive in right now. Here's the experiment that I have been running, and that you could too. So the question is, can you be earning? This is the goal. This is the thing that we're going to go for. Could you be earning over and up to $250,000 per year? So I'm picking a fairly modest goal, but still very substantial. Like imagine that you're working light, you're doing stuff that is your heart's desire, and you're able to earn $250,000 in annual revenue. That's solid. And the job of bringing you new business, the job of bringing you the work that you're going to do is only requiring 4 hours a week. Okay? Imagine that. This is how I'm going to explain exactly how you can do this. So the first step and the first tool that in this puzzle, which you can probably predict, is that you're going to go live. You're going to use live video. And here's why. Here's why I'm picking this method. Number one, if you go live, you're going to have a conversation. You're going to be able to have a conversation with people. You're going to be able to bring on somebody to talk to, who you can interview, who you can explore all the things that light you up. And you can have this really genuine, in the moment conversation. And the best thing about that is it takes the pressure off of you. Like, you're bringing someone else on, you're helping them share their thoughts and their ideas, and you're showcasing them, making them look good. You're supporting them in their work and their thought leadership and their enterprise. So you're really doing something of service. And this should make you feel really good about it and make it more enjoyable. And you're not the one who is just there solo all by yourself, like I am today. So that's one part of going live. Another part of going live is that it's just a great way for you to be authentic, to be more of yourself, so that anybody who is seeing you, anybody who's like you're showing up for, they're really getting to know you, and they're really getting to see what you stand for and what you believe in. And if they share those beliefs, if you are attracting people who care about the same things that you care about, this is a great way. It's probably one of the quickest and easiest and most effective ways to build trust with those folks who care about the same things that you care about. And like, most effective way to do it at scale, like to actually reach relatively large or even modest numbers of people by going live. So the other thing about going live is that you can actually do it to multiple places. Like, I'm using this tool called Restream, and through Restream, I'm multicasting. So right at the moment I have, you can tell me where you're from. You LinkedIn, you can be watching from me there. You can be on Facebook, multiple pages on Facebook I'm streaming to right now. And I'm also streaming over onto YouTube. So I've got, 3,500 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm streaming to my YouTube buddies. And so through the medium of live video, I can accomplish all these things. And the only time it takes to do this is the time efficiency part. The only time it takes to do this is the time for me to go live. So if I plan to do a live interview that, let's say, takes half an hour, then the only time I'm spending creating that piece of content is the 30 minutes. So that's section number one. Section number two, now we are going to multiply the going live to 4 times a week. 4 times a week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to the people in my network and or the people who I would like to have in my network. And again, in the Big Reach program, I can show you how you can do this really easily, especially using a tool like LinkedIn. It's very, very straight ahead. And so you can systematically be reaching out to people who are new to you, and you can invite them to be a guest on your show. Now, this accomplishes a couple of really great things. Number one, how many times have you had somebody online reach out to you and immediately give you a sales pitch like, oh, I'm a web designer. Do you need a new website? Or, oh, I'm a business coach. Would you like me to coach you? I'm the best business coach in the world. Would you like to be coached by me? Well, and how effective do you think that is? I'm not sure why people continue to do this kind of pitching again and again and again. I can't imagine that it works very well. However, you don't need to be doing that. You can basically be offering something of value by saying, look, I have this show. It has this name. It's your live video podcast. And my show is the live stream show. And this mission I'm on is this. I'm searching for ways of working light. and would you like to be a guest on my show so we can talk about that together? And usually what I'll do is I'll find out a little bit about what they're doing and what their work is. And if it's something that, clicks with me, like I see that, whoa, they care about the same thing I care about, they're a good fit for my way of thinking, that person who's my guest, they could fit into one of two categories. They could either be an ideal client, as in they might in the future become a client of mine, or they are an influencer. They have an audience, and their audience, because of the work they do, is very similar to the kind of people who would be ideal clients for me. And so in this job of bringing them on and doing an interview with them, we're getting a chance to meet. We're getting a chance to meet in this really, really nice way. And so we have this conversation together, this really deep conversation that goes on for, it's long form content. We're going to talk for at least half an hour. And I am learning all about them. And I am showing my interest and my curiosity and my amazement and my excitement for whatever it is that they're doing and the kinds of things that they're discovering. And this is a great way to start a relationship. And it sets up something that I've heard referred to as the campfire effect. And if you've ever sat around a campfire, you know what I'm talking about. People sitting around the campfire telling stories and singing songs. And you have this camaraderie that happens, this bonding thing that happens from that kind of experience. And it's special in the moment. So in that moment, you can be, when the interview is over and you're having that post-interview conversation and you're kind of bathed in the campfire light of this great interview that you had, well, you can share things with this guest like, oh my gosh, I have this really great idea for you. And you can invite them to have a follow-up conversation where you would share some of the thoughts and insights that came to you as a result of your conversation. So basically, you're opening the door to continue that conversation further. And you can nurture that relationship in the direction of either, if the person is sort of a natural fit for you, they might become a client, or they could become a partner in terms of collaborating with you to help you speak to their audience and bring clients from their audience. And both things are really possible. And so let's do a little math on this. Like, this is the strategy. And again, like in my program, I teach in the Big Reach video program, I teach about the campfire effect and this strategy of how do you turn an interview session into this delightful experience for both you and your guest so that you can carry on and continue to nurture this conversation that you started and carry it on going forward. So let's do a little math. Let's say that you are a coach or a service provider and that your program, the service that you offer, is a high ticket program. And let's say, just for the sake of math, to make it easy, that this program that you offer is worth $5,000. This is, the people come and do your thing, they work with you for a period of time. This is a one-on-one experience that you offer, and this is your highest ticket offering at the moment, that they can come and work with you and they can be getting this result and this transformation that you offer, this vital change that your clients need, that you know that you can deliver, and you're charging $5,000 per client to get started, just that initial engagement. So when you're doing that, and if you set up this schedule where 4 times a week, you are going live with a new guest. 4 times a week, you go live with a new guest. Now, the person who I actually learned the campfire effect from, she was a consultant and her clients were worth a lot. Her clients were worth, $30,000, $50,000. And she was using this same method and she was getting 1/4 of the people that she had on as a guest would turn into a client. And she did this completely naturally. And so 1 out of every 4 people that she talked to became a client at some point into the future. And so imagine what that would do for your business model if each week you're meeting with 4 people, and then within the next 3 to 4 to 6 months, 1 out of those 4 started working with you as a client. And that just kept on going. Like every time you met with 4 people, you would basically be getting a new client from those relationships. Now you would probably end up with more because some of those people, they won't be clients, but they'll be partners, which means that they will lead you to actually many more people, and they will help you grow. They will really help you grow your audience. And so in the longer term, the people who end up collaborating with you may actually bring you to an even greater success in doing this. But in the short term, you can be doing this work and starting to attract and bring and land a new client every week, 4 hours a week. And notice that the interview is only 30 minutes, which means that you have another 30 minutes each day to plan and do networking and outreach to get your next person to come for your interview. And so you're spending, 4 half hours doing the interview, and you're spending another 4 half-hour periods doing the work around that, which is helping you plan and outreach to the people who you would like to bring on. And of course, that work could be outsourced. You could outsource that to a virtual assistant. So you'd have an assistant who would help you with your scheduling and bringing on new guests and that kind of thing. So this level of labor, I'm really, the idea is to really limit it so that we're only talking, okay, we're going to make this happen, this thing that you're going to do. You're going to have 4 conversations per week, and you are not allowed to spend more than 4 hours a week doing it. And in the beginning, it really doesn't matter that you don't have a gigantic audience. In fact, if you wanted to, you could just, get on with people through the internet video calling techniques that are out there and just record that and then save all of those recordings and then let them out into the public in the future. Like you could be doing a lot of this interviewing over a long period of time without ever even releasing any of the material. And you would still be building rapport and trust and landing clients in this method. Think of that. So let's continue with the math experiment. So here we are, we're doing this regularly, and now we're in month number 2, and every week on average, we're getting a new client, and a new client to us is worth $5,000, which means that every month we're getting $20,000. And if you look at that over a year, now you're generating your $250,000. It's $240,000 per year by getting 1 new client out of 4 interviews per week. And this strategy works. I have a client who is the consultant for a nonprofit. So she goes to nonprofits and she helps them get organized. She helps them really track their activities, particularly with fundraising, to make sure that, number 1, they're staying on mission, but also, number 2, that their business is actually functioning in a way that, they're not going to go out of business. They're not going to not cease to exist. And in the last year, especially at the start of when COVID broke out and all the events ended. And so the major thing that nonprofits could do to fundraise was to have a live event, a big annual event where during that big annual event is where they raised a huge portion of their budget. And all of a sudden, for every nonprofit, no matter what the size, those events were canceled and canceled for the foreseeable future. And all the nonprofit organizations all across the country were freaking out. So my client, we started working together. It just happened coincidentally that we came together and were working together right at the start in the spring of last year when all this was going on. And so she put together a weekly series, and she started reaching out to the leaders of the nonprofit world and bringing them on and talking about this topic, exploring the topic, what can nonprofits do in a time of crisis like this? How do you solve some of these problems? And getting some of the biggest thought leaders in the nonprofit space to speak. Leaders of really large nonprofit organizations were coming on to her show, to her weekly interview series. And a number of things happened as a result of her doing this every week, week after week. Number one is that people, not only was she meeting these folks and getting some of them become clients, but some of them, they'd schedule an interview and then she would hear from that person, look, I want you to come and talk with my team even before the interview had happened so that we can see how we can work together. And in her case, a new client was worth at least $30,000 and sometimes quite a bit more. And so all during the year of 2020 to 2021, in a season where she thought that her own business was going to shrink and possibly disappear, her business actually grew, and she actually grew her revenue. But the other outcome, which is really amazing and cool, is that she has become known and a leader in the idea around what can nonprofits do in time of crisis, and has become a major thought leader across the country in that space, in that bit of knowledge, because her regular show was the only one talking about this topic and serving nonprofits in this way. So a really interesting niche, really interesting topic, really interesting exploration that she embarked upon, not knowing all the answers when she started. And now she's writing a book and she's going to be an author. And I don't know where this is all going to take her in the future, but very successful. And as I said, she's, making multiple six figures from doing this series, doing this regular video podcast series, which in fact goes live. It's a live video series. And this is the kind of thing that you can do. It's the kind of thing that I am doing. And that's kind of it, that's the strategy. And I'm excited about this because it opens up the possibilities for any number of things. One is that I know we're all feeling this urge to reach out and start networking again in a way that we haven't been allowed to for more than a year. And we need more interaction. And the other thing that is true is that so does the rest of the world. I mean, everybody has been feeling kind of closed in. And so if you can be one of the points of light, which is enabling more of this highly valuable conversation to happen through the medium of live video, and you're bringing people on, and so, you're doing multiple layers. One is you are increasing your own network by meeting with interesting people who are doing really cool creative work that you would like to learn more about and explore with them, things that you are genuinely curious about and genuinely interested in. And through the process, just simply of talking with your guest, you are, elevating your status, you are developing really good relationship with new people 4 times a week, 4 times a week. And you're able to do this in a relatively finite amount of time. And bonus, doesn't cost you anything. Like all of what I'm talking about here, the budget for doing this is really small. Like the barrier for entry is really small. And so anyway, I'm super excited about this, and I hope you are too. The doors are open for my Big Reach video program. You can go to bigreachvideo.com, check it out. And if you do all of that and you still have questions, send me a direct message and we can either chat virtually, we can get on a Zoom call together. I'd be happy to talk with you, find out if you are in fact a good fit for doing this kind of work. And honestly, like even if you decided, well, 4 days a week, that seems like way too much, and you only did half of that, you did 2 days a week. You were doing 2 days a week, and you still had the same, every time you met with 4 people, which means that once every other week, you were landing a new client through this method. Well, instead of $240,000 a year, you would be making half of that. So it would be $120,000 a year with your $5,000 program. And this doesn't count, any of the other stuff you might be doing. Like if you have a group program or if you have other smaller services and products that you offer, like I'm not counting any of that. If you don't have a high ticket program where you're charging at least $5,000, what I can say is, you better start. Like, why not? Why aren't you valuing yourself at that level? Like, you need to really think about putting together your very best work, the very best work that you can do that provides the highest level of transformation, and make that possible for the right people to come and join you. Because I swear to you, the right people are out there who both want and need to be served by you, by your very best work. And my mission, the thing that I'm on, the thing that I'm most passionate about is that I know that there's so many talented people, coaches, online course creators, thought leaders, authors, public speakers. All these people have all these skills to share, and they're underexposed. They're not connecting with the right folks. And not only that, most people are feeling totally burnt out, overworked. It's like, oh man, I'm toast to burn. I'm done. I'm overdone. And this is probably the biggest tragedy among the many tragedies, that are happening right now. And so I'm on a mission to help people, first of all, be seen and make the connections that you want to make, like the connections that want to be made in the world, so that all of us are becoming more of service. We're able to use the things that light us up, the things that are our passions, and put them to, the best effort possible out there. So that is what I have today. And I'm just checking. I can see that there's still some people here. So any comments on this? Like, come on, you guys. You're out there. Put something in the comments. I'd love to see what you have to say on this, what your thoughts are. And I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I didn't leave anything out. Don't forget, the doors are open for Big Reach Video. You can go to bigreachvideo.com, and you, over the next 8 weeks, can put this into place. Like in the program that I'm running, this is not just another online course. This is much more a small, intimate mastermind where you're going to be with this small, close-knit community. And there's a lot of support. There's a lot of accountability. And there's a lot of creative ideas being exchanged. And I believe that the very best way that things get done, especially as creatives, is to immerse yourself in a small community of other creatives, so that when you see cool stuff that somebody else is doing, it inspires you. I mean, you know what it's like when you're sitting around and you're telling stories and you're telling jokes, and someone says, tells some little anecdote. And what it does is it sparks your brain and you go, oh yeah, that reminds me of the time when, and then you're on a roll. And that back and forth, that call and response that we do quite naturally is what we need the most when we're in learning mode, like when we're trying to gain a new skill and we're trying to go into some new creative pursuit. One of the things that can help us the most is having this kind of back and forth exchange where people say something and do something and show something and it triggers a response in you. Like I know this is true from my music playing days. I, love to jam with other musicians. And I know that, different than just playing a song, that when you're playing with other musicians and you're doing improvisation, you have this conversation going back and forth so that you're listening for something that one of the other players is doing. And then you get to, you hear something, it gives you an idea, and then you respond to it musically. And oh my gosh, it's so much fun. And you, in the times when I'd be jamming with other people, I'd be playing music in a way that would be it. Like it would be the only time that I played like that or played that particular thing. It just would, be a one time only. And, and that would keep happening again and again. So that is what I have for you. Cool. Look, Phil's here. Thanks, Phil. It says, really interesting show today. Need to watch it again. Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's here. The replay is available. That's the beauty. That is the beauty of live video, Even though it's live, replays are available. And in this case, among the places I'm going live onto YouTube. And YouTube, it's going to be there, under this title, How to Use Video to Get Anything You Want, forever. So anybody who's searching around on YouTube or searching around on Google, and if they happen to be searching for something like that, and they find my video, well, great. They get to see something. And this is what you can be doing too. Like anytime, you get together with a guest, and in the title of your video, you have the guest's name, and you have that live streamed over onto YouTube. Well, guess what? People searching for your guest will find your video. And I've done this repeatedly. For just one example, a few months ago, I had this great conversation, and you can go back and look at the live stream show. Go to the livestreamshow.com, and you can look at the archive there. And I was talking with Victoria LeBaum, and she has this really she had just published her book, which is called Risk Forward. And she's all about how you can pursue your creativity and how you, as a creative person, don't necessarily need to go the traditional path of, I have to write down all my goals and I have to have a really clear plan. She talks about how actually many times it's better to not know exactly what you're doing and to go anyway in the same direction of what lights you up? What are the things that are really interesting to you? And start one step at a time moving in that direction just to see if, yes, this does light me up, and yes, this can keep on going. And so I had this really cool conversation with her, and yes, the title of that particular interview was called Risk Forward with Victoria LeBaum. And you can try this. If you go onto YouTube and you type in the search bar, Risk Forward Victoria LeBaum, you will find the video that we made together. And it's ranked, it comes up as the third or fourth video. It's amazing. And that happened right away. So anyone who has been searching for Victoria and or her book, because her book just came out, and so I'm riding that particular wave of publicity, anybody's looking for that and they're looking for it on YouTube, they're going to find the conversation that we had. And so it helps me, again, be meeting more people, finding people who care about the kind of things that I'm really interested in talking about and pursuing. And this is the way that it's done. So I'm just looking at the time. Oh, yes, plenty of time has gone by. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, I'm going live again this this coming Thursday at 11 o'clock. And I'm talking to this fantastic business coach and mindset coach. Her name is Jackie Simic. And the title of our conversation is How to Make Your Success Inevitable. And this is her work. Like, her work is all around making your success inevitable. And she does it by shifting what's going on in your brain. We're talking brain science. And it's not your usual therapy thing. No. Her methods are really different and really refreshing. And I'm really excited to talk with her. Jackie is someone who I met in a coaching program when I was in this program a few years ago, and both of us were in the same program together. So we were doing this thing together over a couple of years. And anyway, she's coming on this coming Thursday the 1st of July at 11 a.m. So you can look for that. And I will see you next time around. Thanks for watching, everyone. So long.